but we're doing everything we currently can do.
But are they really? See what they're doing now, all because of questions Channel 4 asked.
Tonight on Channel 4 News at 6.
Why green beer could make you sick, and we're not just talking about a hangover at 6 o'clock.
On our broadcast tonight, the outrage from the president on down, the growing anger at a big company saved by the taxpayers now handing out bonuses. End of an era, another major American city gets the news that a cherished institution is going away. Capital crime, it's happening in the shadow of the White House. Now it is a severe epidemic. And labor of love, finding a way to keep workers working. It's one man's way of making a difference. Nightly News begins now.
From NBC News World Headquarters in New York, this is NBC Nightly News with Brian Williams.
Good evening. When the U.S. economy first went south and the big insurance conglomerate AIG got into big trouble, we were all told that if AIG failed, it could be catastrophic for our whole economy. Now we, the U.S. taxpayers, own AIG, 80% of it. The company has received $180 billion in taxpayer money. So you can understand the outrage when word first broke that AIG was paying out some big bonuses to some of their employees. Today, the president joined in. We begin our broadcast here tonight with NBC's Tom Costello in Washington. Tom, good evening.
Hi, Brian. The government is working on a plan that would force AIG to repay that bonus money as a condition for getting the next $30 billion in bailout money. Much of that bonus cash went to employees in the London office who were at the center of this disaster. AIG also under fire for using a huge chunk of its bailout money to pay off U.S. and foreign banks that took enormous risks. With the nation's financial system still in peril, widespread outrage today at insurance giant AIG. After $180 billion of federal bailout money, taxpayers own 80% of the company. But AIG said it is contractually obligated to hand out $165 million in bonuses to some of the very people who brought the company to the brink.
I mean, how do they justify this outrage to the taxpayers who are keeping the company afloat?
Today, the president told Treasury Secretary Geithner to pursue every legal avenue to block the bonuses. Bonuses the company insists it agreed to a year ago before the crisis hit. Now, AIG has emerged as the poster child for the kind of reckless behavior that torpedoed the economy.
This was a hedge fund, basically, that was attached to a large and stable insurance company, made huge numbers of irresponsible bets.
AIG Insurance is huge, 74 million customers worldwide, covering real estate, aircraft, cargo shippers, healthcare providers, life, commercial, property insurance, financial institutions, business and personal loans, cities and states. Many sophisticated investors also bought AIG's insurance to protect them should complicated investments go bad, which they did. Suddenly, unable to meet its obligations, AIG was deemed too big to fail, with too many conventional customers depending on it, prompting the feds to step in with the taxpayer bailout.
AIG had massive amounts of bets. The fear was that there would be a global financial meltdown if AIG went down.
So where did AIG send that $180 billion in taxpayer money? Under pressure, the company this weekend revealed dozens of names, many of which also made risky bets, including some banks that already got bailout money: Goldman Sachs, Merrill Lynch, Bank of America, Citigroup. And foreign banks also got money: Deutsche Bank, Societe Generale, and Barclays Bank. The question now, as it pays out bonuses, how much more will AIG need to prevent collapse?
All we know is we own a company that's bleeding red ink by the tens and tens of billions of dollars, and there does not appear to be any accountability.
$62 billion in losses in the last quarter. That's the biggest corporate loss ever, and we, the taxpayers, own it. Meanwhile, New York Attorney General Cuomo has subpoenaed AIG for the names of the employees getting bonuses and the people who approved those bonuses. Brian?
Tom Costello starting us off in our Washington, D.C. newsroom. Tom, thanks. These AIG bonuses put the Obama administration in a tough spot. They're watching as public support is shrinking for these bailouts. Most of Washington was scrambling, lining up today to show its displeasure. There's new polling that shows these bailouts are unpopular, but what's the solution? Our chief White House correspondent Chuck Todd has that part of the story tonight. Chuck, good evening.
Good evening, Brian. Well, that $168 million in bonus money is a lot of money, but believe it or not, it only accounts for less than 1% of the $180 billion that's been given to AIG. But it's that bonus money that had politicians of all stripes scrambling to show outrage.
This is a corporation that finds itself.
The president made it clear that he shares the country's anger over AIG and these bonuses to its trading arm.
Under these circumstances, it's hard to understand how derivative traders at AIG warranted any bonuses, much less $165 million in extra pay.
President Obama was not the only angry Washington politician.
But what's most outrageous is the very people who got AIG and then the rest of the country in big trouble are the ones getting the break.
Usually bonuses are only required when somebody did a good job rather than when they did a lousy job.
But while anger was all the rage, there seemed to be near universal acknowledgement that nothing can be done to stop the bonuses.
Clearly, not enough was done at the very beginning to put conditions on AIG.
And so the focus was about how to prevent this from happening again.
Going forward, the American people need to have complete certainty that taxpayer money is not wasted.
The real fear among Washington leaders is that AIG's actions will make it harder to gather public support for future financial bailouts. Federal Reserve Chairman Ben Bernanke acknowledged this in a rare TV interview when asked what keeps him up at night.
The biggest risk is that, we don't have the political will, we don't have the commitment to solve this problem.
And that political will is challenged more and more every day as the level of coziness between Washington and Wall Street becomes more clear, coloring the public perception of how this crisis evolves. Goldman Sachs and AIG were big contributors to politicians of both parties. Goldman officials have moved in and out of government, and even this president's leading economic advisor, Larry Summers, as Bill Clinton's Treasury Secretary, advocated for some of the trading deregulation that ultimately left AIG exposed. Now, Brian, this administration always likes to emphasize they're not going to look backwards, they always want to look forwards, but they are counting on the president's own credibility with the public to trump this cynicism that's growing out there that the public has for the rest of Washington and how they seem to cozy up to Wall Street.
Chuck Todd at the White House for us tonight. Chuck, thanks. And by the way, the White House announced today that during the president's trip to California later this week, he will become the first sitting president to appear on a late-night talk show. President Obama will visit with Jay Leno on The Tonight Show on NBC Thursday night. The obituary column these days is full of the death notices of American daily newspapers. And we learned today, fittingly perhaps on the internet, that another once great paper is going away. In Seattle, it's known simply as the PI. The Seattle Post-Intelligencer now becomes the largest daily newspaper yet to go out of business. The story tonight from NBC's Chris Jansing.
It's the end of an era in Seattle. The Post-Intelligencer newspaper is about to print its last edition, the victim of a weak economy and competition, including the internet. Mike Lewis worked at the PI for 9 years.
I'm going to figure out if I can stay in journalism at all.
About 10% of the staff has been offered jobs at an online edition of the paper, but with lower pay and fewer benefits.
If misery loves company, Seattle is certainly not alone. At least 10 major cities have newspapers that could either close or go online in the next year or so.
It's a grim race to see who goes under first. The Philadelphia Daily News and Minneapolis Star-Tribune are both in bankruptcy. The Boston Globe and San Francisco Chronicle have been losing as much as $1 million a week. And the Miami Herald and Chicago Sun-Times are for sale. So far, no takers.
Newspapers are going to be shrinking. Staffs are going to get smaller. Long term, I think print is going away. The internet is just a more convenient way of getting the information.
3 weeks after the Rocky Mountain News folded, today a group of former staffers announced a new online venture, InDenverTimes.com. The Post-Intelligencer chronicled 146 years of history, survived the 1889 fire that destroyed much of the city, but not the march of time, technology, and lost ad revenues.
I'm very upset about it. It's the worst thing that can happen to a newspaper editor, and it's the worst thing that can happen to a news-consuming town.
The demise of the PI's print edition, this sad chapter in the story of journalism, was first reported online. Chris Jansing, NBC News, Seattle.
Overseas tonight, some welcome news about a crisis averted in one of the most unstable and dangerous places on the planet, Pakistan. Our chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel is in Islamabad tonight with the latest on the showdown that was prevented at the very last minute.
Jubilation today as thousands celebrated the end of a crisis that nearly toppled Pakistan's government. Today, the U.S.-backed President Asif Zardari reinstated Pakistan's popular Chief Justice, Iftikhar Chaudhry. Today, the Chief Justice was greeted at his home like a hero.
It is a symbol of the independent judiciary, and everybody loves him.
It was a stunning concession. Zardari has long opposed the return of the Chief Justice, who has accused him of corruption. So why did Zardari do it? He was forced. Thousands of protesters demanding the Chief Justice's return clashed with security forces this weekend. The demonstrators had threatened to march on Islamabad today until Zardari gave in.
Many Pakistanis are celebrating the end for now of a political crisis. But this deal only came amid heavy pressure from both the United States and the Pakistani military, which feared further unrest here would undermine the government's ability to fight al-Qaeda and the Taliban.
NBC News has learned President Zardari called the chief of the Pakistani army on Saturday to stop the protests, but the army chief refused.
He said that he would not like to use the army for this sort of a purpose, which is totally political.
And from the U.S., a full-court press. Phone calls from Admiral Mike Mullen, Envoy Richard Holbrooke, and Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. She warned Zardari U.S. aid could be affected by further unrest. The U.S. has given Pakistan more than $10 billion since 2001.
Well, I think they understand what's at stake.
But tonight, even as Pakistan celebrated, a suicide bomber killed at least 10 at a bus station near Islamabad. A reminder of how unstable this country remains. Richard Engel, NBC News, Islamabad.
And when our broadcast continues for a Monday night, it's a public health crisis, but it's not in some far-off place. This one is within sight of the White House. And later, an employer who isn't letting up even though this economy has let him down.
They tickle, they tease, and you sneeze. Maybe it's time to ask your doctor about Singulair. While many allergy medicines block histamine, Singulair blocks leukotrienes, an underlying cause of nasal allergy symptoms. And that's how Singulair works differently. One pill, once a day. Side effects are generally mild and vary by age and may include headache, ear infection, sore throat, and upper respiratory infection. Singulair, a different way to treat allergies.
Yeah, I need you to talk me through it the first time.
You need me to talk you through add water, microwave, strain, and stir?
Whoa, 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 what is that, Japanese?
Made fresh from your desk. Cook it, strain it, mix it, love it. New Healthy Choice Fresh Mixers. Find it in the soup or pasta aisle.
Mom knew I needed calcium from day one. Now I'm the mom, and I know 80% of us don't get enough calcium from food. Our bodies can steal it from our bones. Give yourself some TLC, Tender Loving Caltrate, and give TLC to somebody you love.
Decisions. Which Beneful prepared meal tonight? Roasted chicken recipe? Savory rice and lamb stew. You're right. Tonight is a beef stew kind of night.
Beneful prepared meals. Another healthful, flavorful Beneful.
This might not be the best time to sell a home.
But we just can't wait for the market to heat up.
Need to sell? RE/MAX agents have the experience to get the job done. Nobody sells more real estate than RE/MAX. Where do you want to be?
Everything that goes into each of the 13 different varieties of Mrs. Dash, all those natural herbs and spices, is just as important as what doesn't. No salt, no MSG. Everything that goes into Mrs. Dash is there to make sure that what you get out is nothing short of delicious. Mrs. Dash, salt-free, flavorful. And try the 10-minute marinades from Mrs. Dash.
There has been a lot of attention paid in recent years to fighting the spread of HIV/AIDS in Africa. This next story has to do with something happening here. An epidemic described as severe in the nation's capital, Washington, D.C., where 3 out of every 100 people currently have HIV or AIDS, a percentage that a D.C. public health official says is as bad as some West African nations. Our story from our chief science correspondent, Robert Bazell.
Announcing that at least 3% of the entire population over 12 is infected with HIV, the virus that causes AIDS. Washington, D.C. officials said today it was time for the public and politicians to stop ignoring the problem.
HIV is an STD.
Derek White works with the D.C. Health Department.
It's out here and we need to do something about it.
How are things going?
William Morris is terminally ill with AIDS at Joseph's House, a hospice. Nurse coordinator Priscilla Norris has worked with AIDS in D.C. for 25 years.
Does it frighten you how much worse it's getting?
I don't know that it frightens me. It really sobers me enormously.
Much of the epidemic is concentrated in the city's large African American community, especially among the poorest segments of the population. But the numbers out today show a big jump in heterosexual spread, often from drug users to their partners, and often through prostitution.
There is still a very strong stigma around this disease within those communities, also within the Caucasian community that sort of sees it as it's no longer a problem that can affect me. It only affects poor people or people who use drugs.
Another problem. Gay men and drug users often think newer treatments have solved the problem.
It's about being able to put it a little bit on the back burner and go into denial a little bit more because their best friend's not dying at their feet.
The percentage of infected people in Washington is the same as many West African nations that have big AIDS problems. The 3% figure could be way too low because officials estimate that less than half of the people who are infected with HIV know it.
Thank you so much for coming in.
That's why Washington is stepping up efforts like this one that goes into neighborhoods trying to persuade more people to find out if they are infected. Robert Bazell, NBC News, Washington.
Now we turn to the very latest tonight on the Bernie Madoff swindle. Federal prosecutors have filed court documents outlining a wide array of personal property they intend to seize from the jailed money manager and his wife, Ruth. Among the items listed, properties in Manhattan, the Hamptons, Palm Beach, and France. Also a $17 million bank account in Ruth Madoff's name, several yachts, 4 cars, and a piano. We'll take a break. When we come back, you'd think space travel was dangerous enough without a new danger that the astronauts on this mission now have to look for.
Roswell Discovery.
Not playing with the kids?
Not on these legs. Poor leg circulation. Doctor says it's PAD.
Peripheral artery disease? More than doubles your risk for a heart attack or stroke.
So I hear.
Better ask your doctor about Plavix. Plavix can help protect you from a heart attack or stroke. Plavix helps keep blood platelets from sticking together and forming clots, the cause of most heart attacks and strokes.
My cousin, the MD.
Call your doctor about Plavix.
If you have a stomach ulcer or other condition that causes bleeding, you should not use Plavix. When taking Plavix alone or with some other medicines, including aspirin, the risk of bleeding may increase. So tell your doctor before planning surgery. And always talk to your doctor before taking aspirin or other medicines with Plavix, especially if you've had a stroke. If you develop fever, unexplained weakness, or confusion, tell your doctor promptly, as these may be signs of a rare but potentially life-threatening condition called TTP, which has been reported rarely, sometimes in less than 2 weeks after starting therapy. Other rare but serious side effects may occur.
Go on, use the dog face. This is going to be beautiful.
What does that mean?
You know, ever so slightly. Look up.
New on Disney Blu-ray and DVD. Bring home both.
Beat it, stupid cat!
Don't wait until Tuesday. Blu-ray DVD combo pack available this Sunday.
Fishing pole? It's been a while. You stood in the basement gathering dust while I, sneezing, itching eyes, kept you from our favorite stream. The one that runs through a field where pollen floats through the air. But now, with the strength of 24-hour Zyrtec to relieve my worst allergy symptoms, indoors and outdoors. Let's go before the fish stop biting. They won't wait for us. But that's okay. Zyrtec starts working 2 hours faster than Claritin. Today we battle wits with the trout. With Zyrtec, I can love the air.
Great soup, Jen. What's your secret?
An incredibly high degree of culinary intuition plus years of experience.
You mean Swanson broth? Yeah.
Made with all-natural chicken stock and flavored with garden vegetables and herbs, the secret to great-tasting homemade soups is Swanson broth.
Women everywhere are opening their eyes to Olay Regenerist Total Eye Makeover and closing the door on cosmetic procedures. It's not surgical results, but it is an eye-lifting serum to help firm the lids, an eye dermapod to help smooth wrinkles, and new touch-up concealer to brighten under the eyes. Olay Regenerist. 3 targeted treatments for a total eye makeover. You won't believe your eyes. Love the skin you're in.
Raise a glass, dance a jig, and celebrate St. Patrick's Day with Meredith and Al. Live from the Emerald Isle, tomorrow on Today on NBC.
This may be a case of a great name and a good car at a bad time. After years of development, General Motors today unveiled the new Chevy Camaro, one of the great muscle cars of the past, of course, updated, re-released during what is really a near-death struggle for parent company General Motors, with car sales way down. The car gets shipped to dealerships this spring. Base price $23,000. Chevy engineers proudly point out the base Camaro gets just under 30 miles per gallon. Another era is slowly coming to an end. Just 9 more shuttle missions scheduled after this one. The shuttle Discovery launched successfully last night right around sunset after multiple delays. The crew of 8 is headed for the space station, but here's a first. We're told the threat of orbiting space debris may force a slight detour in their flight. Some health news of particular interest to the millions of Americans who suffer from peanut allergies or have a family member who does. A new study of allergic children who were given small doses of peanut protein under a doctor's supervision over a 2.5-year period shows that more than half of them became able, by increasing the amounts over time, to eat all the peanuts they wanted without any allergic reaction. Experts caution this was a small sample and more study, of course, is needed. The actor Ron Silver has died. He was best known to television viewers for his role in the NBC series The West Wing, but he was also a Tony Award winner on Broadway and a film veteran. Played lawyer Alan Dershowitz in the film Reversal of Fortune. He was an activist as well off camera, one of the founders of the Creative Coalition in Hollywood. A liberal most of his life, he later called himself a 9/11 Republican and switched sides politically. Ron Silver battled cancer of the esophagus for the past several years. He was 62 years old. We're back in a moment here tonight with a man who has found a way to keep his employees working, his way of making a difference.
Are you like me? I have high blood pressure and I have high cholesterol.
But he treats both with one pill.
Catawit makes it easier to manage my 2 conditions. Catawit contains 2 proven medicines, one for lowering high blood pressure, the other for lowering high cholesterol, combined in one pill. Catawit. That works for me.
Catawit is one of many treatment options, in addition to diet and exercise that he discussed with his doctor.
Catawit is not for everyone. It's not for people with liver problems and women who are nursing, pregnant, or may become pregnant. To check for liver problems, you need simple blood tests. Tell your doctor about any heart problems and all other medications you are taking. Or if you experience muscle pain or weakness, as they may be a sign of a rare but serious side effect. Along with diet and exercise, Catawit effectively lowers both high blood pressure and high cholesterol. 2 medicines, 1 pill. Ask your doctor if Catawit is right for you.
For the worst allergies, I want a product with the best decongestant. My choice is clear, Claritin D.
Nothing works stronger, faster, or longer to relieve your worst allergy symptoms, including congestion, without drowsiness. Get Claritin D at the pharmacy counter.
Live Claritin Clear.
Yeah, I need you to talk me through it the first time.
You need me to talk you through add water, microwave, strain, and stir?
Whoa, 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 what is that, Japanese?
Made fresh from your desk. Cook it, strain it, mix it, love it. New Healthy Choice Fresh Mixers. Find it in the soup or pasta aisle.
It's clear we need more energy from all sources. And most Americans agree we need more domestic oil and natural gas. But does that mean you'll see more oil and gas platforms? Well, with advanced subsea technology, one platform can now gather oil from wells 40 miles away. So what used to take many just a few years ago now takes only one. That's more of the oil and natural gas we need from less than meets the eye. Log on to learn more.
Want to bounce back fast from tough pain? Get relief that's liquid fast. Advil Strong. Advil Liquid Gels. Faster and stronger than extra strength Tylenol on tough pain. Advil Liquid Gels rush relief right where you need it. Advil Liquid Gels. Liquid fast. Advil Strong.
Anxious about quitting cold turkey?
Make that first step easier with the Nicoderm CQ patch. Nicoderm steps you down from nicotine gradually, doubling your chance for success. Nicoderm CQ, 3 steps, 10 weeks, and you're free.
Nashville is hurting, but there's $2 million in unpaid parking tickets they're not collecting.
We're doing everything we currently can do.
But are they really? See what they're doing now, all because of questions Channel 4 asked.
Tonight on Channel 4 News at 6.
Why green beer could make you sick, and we're not just talking about a hangover at 6 o'clock.
Making a Difference. Brought to you by Nicoderm CQ.
We continue to enjoy getting your emails following our request to hear about and then highlight some of the good being done out there in this economic downturn. We got more than one email on this next topic. This one happens to be from Ann in Concord, North Carolina. She writes, in Kannapolis, North Carolina, the owner of the Gem movie theater, which opened during the Depression, is making Wednesday night free movie night for everyone. He says it's his way of giving back to the community he grew up in that has seen textile mills shut down, people out of work. He thinks everyone needs a little escapism to make them feel better. Catherine writes from Yuba City, California, there is a teacher at my son's school who buys groceries for her homeless and hungry students. She doesn't make much money, and I'm sure she spends more on her students than she does on her own family. She says she just can't sleep at night knowing that her students are hungry, and she knows they can't focus if they're hungry. Thank goodness for people like her. Hear, hear. And that brings us to tonight's Making a Difference report. It's about a man who has decided to do more work even though his own business has hit a slump. His story tonight from NBC's Kevin Tibbles.
You can hear it. Tiny Humboldt, Kansas is a beehive of activity. Prepped for paint, trees pruned. A spruced up playground now alive with kids. And all the labor comes free of charge. Performed by workers who, in better economic times, would be here. At the B&W plant making trailer hitches. With a staff of 180, it's Humboldt's largest employer.
No problems today.
Owned by successful local entrepreneur Joe Works.
We did go through a lot of lean years, and I know what it's like.
With the economy in the tank, Joe says he's lost about half his business, but he just couldn't bring himself to lay off employees who he considers friends. So at full pay, Joe gives his workers new tasks to improve their little town.
If people aren't getting paid, then they can't buy groceries at the local grocery store. They can't buy gas at the gas station or eat lunch at the restaurant.
Now refurbished baseball diamonds await the first pitch of spring.
This is above and beyond, I think. Yeah. It's Midwestern values, but this is above and beyond.
And houses of worship strapped for cash are blessed with a facelift.
It's like one big family, so what hurts one hurts the other. And what helps one helps the other.
For Joe Works, who says the donated labor accounts for about 10% of his losses, it's a civic duty. Simple as that.
Because I've been blessed by a business that's been successful and have made some money, I don't want to hang on to that with a greedy attitude. I want to share.
Do you think that's kind of like what small town America used to be like?
Yeah, I think so. I think America needs to get back to that more.
Restoring a piece of the heartland, keeping one hometown alive for the next generation. Kevin Tibbles, NBC News, Humboldt, Kansas.
And about all of the good news stories we profiled here on the broadcast last week, well, tomorrow night we will follow up on some of those. That is, for now, our broadcast for this Monday night. Thank you for being with us. Hope you had a good weekend. I'm Brian Williams. We, of course, hope to see you back here tomorrow. Good night.
A left-wing smear machine? Janine Garofalo joins Keith with facts that prove the right is wrong. Countdown with Keith Olbermann, tonight on MSNBC.
Working for you in high definition, this is Channel 4 News.
Well, that's why we were so stunned and shocked. We had not seen him all these years or knew what happened to him at all.
Only on Channel 4 tonight, a decades-old murder case finally makes it to court, and family members on both sides get emotional.
Good evening again, everyone. Welcome now to Channel 4 News at 6.
An accused killer who vanished without a trace 32 years ago was back in court this morning in Hohenwald for a long overdue hearing. And among those watching, the tearful family members he never told goodbye. Nancy Amons tonight with a story you'll see only on Channel 4.
Now, frail from a stroke and looking older than his 58 years, James Brewer is facing the judgment day he avoided 32 years ago.
How's your health?
My health?